Welcome to Talmudic Treasures. Today we're in Nedarim, page 18, which discusses when a person makes a neder, they make a particular oath or vow. The law is that whatever they say becomes forbidden upon them. But it has to be said in the right language, because if you are going to say it in a way in which could be construed as potentially something else, so then, in fact, your words mean nothing. And therefore, the question is, if you say, as we've been giving the example, that this piece of bread, I want it to be forbidden just like such and such, so that thing that you're comparing it to has to be something in which in itself is linked to the bread. And if somehow the language that you said is not accurate, then the bread will not be forbidden to you, and it will not be considered a binding oath or vow. Now on this, the Talmud wonders, what if you say something which is a bit ambiguous? It's unclear what you meant, because what you said can be interpreted in one of two ways. And in one particular direction, it could be interpreted as a valid vow or oath. And yet, if you think about it in a different way, it's possible that it will not be an invalid vow or oath. And the Talmud gives numerous examples of how you could have a statement like that, which could have two potential meanings, which would have two of the exact opposite outcomes. And on this, the Talmud tells us at this stage that we go strict. If we're not sure exactly what this person means, it could be yes, it could be no, we say we're going to go strict and say there's probably a reason why he's saying what he's saying. He's not saying these words for nothing. He obviously wants to forbid this bread or whatever it is, and therefore we say we're going to go strict, and therefore we're going to say his vow or his oath is valid. However, if afterwards he explains himself, he says, oh, this is what I meant, and by his explaining what he meant, he's able to have some wiggle room to get out of his original statement, and therefore it's really understood now that he really didn't want to make an oath or a vow, then we're going to listen to him and we'll go lenient. And again, the Talmud is going to discuss this at greater length, continuing on the next page. But there's a couple of very fascinating points just on this concept alone. And that is, it's very possible a person could say something and it could have two completely opposite meanings. And the person who is listening could easily interpret it in a positive way, in a favorable manner, and it's possible it can be construed in a manner or interpreted and heard in a negative way, that this person is being critical or being mean or disrespectful. Now we know that in general, the Torah tells us that we have to be done l'kav zechut, namely, we're supposed to judge favorably. So if we can interpret someone's words, and it could be for good or for bad, and you don't really know this person so well, or even if you think you know this person a little bit, the reality is we should always give the person the benefit of the doubt. And this is what's being said over here. When this person has two different things that are being said, or one thing with two different interpretations, so sometimes we have to go strict. We have to be careful and take upon ourselves the notion that this person is probably saying something of meaning and not saying something which is just hurtful. But the second point, which is also important to note, is that he has the ability to explain himself. That even if maybe we could hear it in a negative light, once the person is able to communicate and continue to explain what is meant, we have to have a listening ear to not just shut out further conversations. Instead, we have to listen and understand that even though we may have maybe not judge this person favorably, now let's give this person the second opportunity. Let this person speak, listen to what he has to say, and we have to listen, and at that point, we will accept the second words, which will explain the first, and now we'll understand what he always meant.